I know.
Okay, we're gonna start, so.
I know. Christine's late.
Mayor?
Oh,
Mayor?
Steve,
Steve?
What?
you're on.
So we're gonna start? We're
I
starting?
don't see the boy in.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
You're on the end section.
Is this working?
It should be. Hello, everybody?
Can you hear me? Okay, we're gonna start the meeting. We're gonna do a roll call, and Christine will be here momentarily. But we didn't want to delay folks any further. So can we do a roll call, please, Carla?
Mayor Cos?
Here.
Commissioner DeHathis will be in shortly. Commissioner Herbert?
Here.
Vice Mayor Magruder?
Here.
And let the record show.
And let the record show Commissioner Bessler is absent with notice.
Okay, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Okay, any additions, deletions, modifications, and approval of the agenda? Anybody got any changes in that? Okay, can we carry a motion 3-0?
Should we make a motion?
Yes.
I move to approve the minutes of the previous meetings.
Just to approve the agenda. John.
The agenda, I'm sorry.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Carries 3, which is unanimous at this minute. Okay, the police chief is up next.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to introduce to you our newest employee, a tradition that we've done in Ocean Ridge forever. This is Ross Kuhn. He's joining us in our dispatch section. He's been with us for going on 4 weeks in training. He's doing very well, and we hope that you will hear his nice voice and kind words whenever you call. He's the one that we'll be talking to. If you have any questions, call him. Right now, he's working 3 to 11 shift, day shift, and midnight shifts at any time. So, just like to welcome Rob to our.
Okay, let the record show that Christine's here. So now let's just fill out with notice. Okay, Carla, can you read the announcements, please?
The next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will be held on November 18th at 8 a.m. at Town Hall. The next Septic to Sewer Citizens Advisory Committee meeting will be held on November 21st at 8:30 a.m. at Town Hall. The next regular Town Commission meeting will be held on December 2nd at 6 p.m. at Town Hall. The Institute for Regional Conservation and the Town of Ocean Ridge will be hosting the Restoring the Gulf Coast event at Town Hall on Saturday, November 16th from 9 a.m. to noon. The event will begin with an educational workshop inside Town Hall with presentation by George Gann, Mary Ann Cody, and others, followed by a biodiversity planting on the dune along with light refreshments. Town Hall will be closed for business on Monday, November 11th in observance of Veterans Day, and also on Thursday and Friday, November 28th and 29th in observance of Thanksgiving. A Veterans Day ceremony and picnic hosted by the town and the Ocean Ridge Garden Club will be held at Town Hall on Monday, November 11th, beginning at noon. The municipal election will be held on March 17th, 2020. There are 2 commission seats open for a 3-year term. Candidates filling dates run from noon on December 2nd, 2019 through noon on December 13th, 2019 in the town clerk's office. La elección municipal se llevará a cabo el 17 de marzo del 2020. Hay 2 asientos de la comisión de la ciudad abiertos por un periodo de 3 años. Las fechas de presentación de candidatos se extenderán desde el mediodía del 2 de diciembre de 2019 hasta el mediodía del 13 de diciembre de 2019 en la oficina de la secretaria de la ciudad. The Palm Beach County Book Mobile will be stationed at Town Hall on November 12th and November 25th from 3:45 p.m. to 4:15 p.m. for the public to enjoy. The town's annual holiday celebration will be held on Friday, December 6th from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 at Town Hall. All Ocean Ridge residents are welcome to attend. The town has launched a new alert system, Civic Ready. Residents who wish to sign up to receive town notifications should sign up on the town's website or call Town Hall for assistance. Next on the agenda is public comment. The mayor will invite the public to speak to the commission on any item that is not printed in the agenda. Public comment on the specific agenda items may be made later in the meeting when the items are taken up. There's a 3-minute individual limit for public comments that will be timed by the town clerk. Public comment is not meant to be question and answer period, and there will be no dialogue. Anyone wishing to speak during public comments, please come up to the podium and print your name and address on the sheet provided, and state your name and address for the record.
Thanks, Carl. For those who haven't been to very many town meetings, that's the longest list of announcements I've ever heard. You did a great job.
And for those of you that saw me smiling when she was reading, when she flipped into Spanish, I have hearing aids. And I thought when she flipped into Spanish, I said, they're gone. So thank you, Carl.
So I'm going to open to public comment, but just to reiterate what Carla said, if you're here for a specific agenda item, there's public comment when that item comes up on the agenda. If you choose to come speak about it now, you'll not be allowed to join the discussion when it's actually being discussed. Any public comment?
You want to go first, Betty?
Betty Bingham, 1 East Ocean Avenue, Ocean Ridge, Florida. I want to know how many people in this town were aware of the fact that Ocean Ridge borrowed money to buy Ocean Ridge from Boynton Beach. And in 1963, they were in arrears of their interest to the bank in Palm Beach. And a bond issue was taken out, which was oversubscribed within a week and paid off in less than the 20 years. And I only bring this up because looking at the sewer systems, I would like you all, rather than thinking about giving any of it to Boynton Beach to take care of, if you have to, you put out a bond issue, and it should be one of the things being considered with all of that that's going on. And then just an aside, which is going to make everyone not happy, is there, I think maybe planning and zoning should start thinking about vehicles parked in the middle of the streets with cones when they will easily fit into the driveways of the people they're servicing.
Thank you, Betty. Stella?
Hi, Stella Cole, 204 Beachway. What I'd like to talk to you about today is derelict-looking homes. I have some pictures I would like to pass around to the commission, if you don't mind taking a look at them. Sorry. One of them, that when...
We won't show them to you in case one of your homes is on the list here.
No, it's one particular home that, you know, I've kind of zeroed in on, 6009 Old Ocean Avenue. I have talked to the chief about this house. It's disgraceful. You know, the A1A and Old Ocean is a throughway to our town. This house has been in disrepair for six years. I know you're not answering questions, but I would hope that, A, they get fined, B, we don't dilute the fine at some point, and you all make them do something, and if they don't do something, I think the town should take it over and put a lien on their property. Thank you.
So let's make an exception to the public speaking rule, because I think Wayne has an update on this.
Yeah, the current status of that structure has been declared unsafe at the present time, and fines are running. So it's just going through the due process.
Okay, Terry?
Well, we'll see if anything gets done with that house now that Stella spoke, instead of all the times I spoke about it. Terry Brown, Harbor Drive South. I just wanted to make some positive comments regarding the little event that the police department had at Porter Street Beach Crossover. It was, I thought, very positive. There were some things that we could do better. The dog biscuits could be smaller for smaller dogs. And we could upgrade the food to donuts, and Don Magruder has volunteered to buy the donuts out of his $100 a month. But the other thing that came up regarding that is that some folks got the announcement and they were looking for it on on the Google map thing, and it doesn't show up, of course, because Porter Street doesn't actually exist as a street. So my suggestion, and I know Don said, let's not advertise the beach crossovers, but of course, everybody in town knows where they are. But if you could color code them or even put a sign on the walkway between A1A and Old Ocean. The issue is if you have an accident or something occurs and they call dispatch and they say, where are you? They don't know. A couple of people showed up and did not know where the location was. So I'm only suggesting that you come up with some plan to locate where the crossovers are in case of emergency, like a storm or who knows what could happen, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Christian Ehrenruth, and I live at 5 Sailfish Lane. I'm here on behalf of Oceana, which is the world's largest ocean conservation organization, to ask Ocean Ridge to join 91 other municipalities in Florida that have passed resolutions to oppose seismic airgun blasting and offshore drilling. On September 11th of 2019, we have already passed H.R. 1941 and 205 in the House of Representatives, and we are still lacking Senate support. There was a great deal of bipartisan support in Florida. Only one representative in the entire state voted against it, but now we need to make it clear to the Senate that we are against offshore drilling. Floridians have already passed Amendment 9, which protects state waters. Now, state waters only protects up to 3 miles off the coast of the Atlantic and 9 miles in the Gulf. The only problem is that if we remember about a decade ago, the BP oil disaster, which cost several $billion in cleanup and devastated the coast of Louisiana and the entirety of the Gulf Coast, was 47 miles off of the coast and a couple hundred from Texas, and we saw what the damage was there. Seismic airgun blasting is harmful to all ocean life, from whales to zooplankton, and does not identify oil and gas deposits with 100% certainty. The only way to know for sure what's out there is if we drill exploratory oil wells. The BP Deepwater Horizon was an exploratory oil well. Protecting our coastlines from oil exploration and drilling is essential to the survival of Florida and our tourism economy. When we drill, we spill. Every single governor on the east and west coast opposes offshore drilling, and I'm asking that Ocean Ridge would place a resolution on the upcoming meeting agenda to help protect our coast from offshore drilling. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, the end of public comment. Carla, can we please read the consent agenda into the record?
Adopt minutes of regular town commission meeting of October 7, 2019. Authorize the budgeted expenditure of up to $15,700 for the purpose of purchasing a new truck utility bed and crane for the Public Works Department. Authorize the town manager to sign an interlocal agreement for a multi-jurisdictional climate change vulnerability assessment and grant assessment with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for a resilience planning grant of $75,000, and to authorize manager to expend the budget expenditure of up to $23,000 for said climate change vulnerability assessment. Authorize Mayor Cost to sign town's federally funded sub-award and grant agreement Z0806.
Thank you, Carla. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries unanimous. Okay, regular agenda items. Tracy, I know that the people from Waste Pro are on a little time crunch. Do you have an additional 15 minutes, or will that delay you into Lantana?
I'm here.
I know you live here, but
Hi, Joanne. Oh, no, he's here too.
you good to delay a little bit? Okay, this won't take long. We're doing the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2019-13. I guess this would be Brian.
Well, yes, Carla needs to read the caption.
An ordinance of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 42, Solid Waste, to provide for regulations regarding obstruction of stormwater drainage systems, and to modify the appeal and violation regulation providing for codification, repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
And this ordinance is before you for second reading. I think the caption that Carla read says it all, that what this ordinance does is it provides that there would be a code violation if someone piles vegetative material generally in front of a storm drain. and blocks it in order to prevent it from allowing the street to drain. And it also addresses the appeal and penalty provision in the code to make sure that this would be treated through the code enforcement process.
Any public comment?
A few years ago, they installed, Cherry Brown Harbor Drive South installed new catch basins in our neighborhood. And this is a constant problem on Harbor Drive South. I don't know about north. But the issue is you have to watch them do it, right? If there are maintenance people coming and trimming a neighbor's tree, they load the stuff up there and they're gone. So who's going to get the violation, and how do we solve that problem? That happens a lot, I tell you, up and down that street.
Well, maybe the homeowners on Harbor South can instruct their yard guys not to put it over the drain.
Yeah, but it's on right of way, not on their property. So they're going to tell you,
It's
forget
very
it.
obvious where the drains are. Okay, any more public comment? Commission comment? Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those unanimous again, Carla. Okay, authorize Town Manager Stevens to sign the agreement of contract for Republic Services. This is Town Manager Tracy Stevens.
Yes, we were recently notified that our solid waste hauler, Republic Services, is selling certain assets to Waste Pro of Florida, including the town's contract with Republic Services, if the town consents to an assignment of contract. I met with our representative, Joanne Stanley from Republic Services last week, along with the Regional Vice President of Waste Pro, Russell Mackey. In our conversations, Mr. Mackey assured us that he has reviewed our contract with Republic Services, and his company is prepared to honor all aspects of the contract if the town wishes to proceed with the assignment of contract. While here on Trash Pickup Day, Mr. Mackey toured Ocean Ridge and observed the manner in which the residents are placing their items curbside, and he didn't have any issues with how that is done and thought the transition would be a smooth one. I spoke with Town Attorney Shutt, and he stated that the assignment of contract clause in our current contract would allow us to proceed with the assignment. And Town Attorney Shutt also provided an amendment to our current contract in order to strengthen it for the town. Mr. Mackey did agree to review and consider those terms, and he is here to speak to the commission if you have any questions for him this evening. Staff does recommend proceeding, but not by signing the assignment of contract letter that was given to us by Republic, but by signing the amendment that was provided by Town Attorney Shutt.
And I think that both Waste Pro and Republic are okay with the amendment that is drafted in the backup, and I'm seeing shake their heads that yes, they are, for the record, so.
So why don't we get Mr. Mackey up here to get it officially on the record? Not that we don't trust you.
Good evening, Russell Mackey, Regional Vice President, also a minority owner in Waste Pro. We're a privately owned company. But yes, we've reviewed the agreement, the amendment that's been presented to us, and we have no problem. We think the ads that are for the town make sense. We're happy to add those to the agreement in its entirety.
Super.
I could tell you a lot about us if you want to hear about it, but if we could move quick, I could save that for another time too. I've got Chris Shuley, who's our local manager, that'll be your direct point of contact. I want to introduce him as well.
Okay.
We're losing Joanne?
That's the tragedy.
Oh, okay, well,
So, will you all be replacing using your trucks with your signage on them and your workers as opposed to any of the,
We purchased the Republic Building facility. We brought a majority of their employees on, and we purchased a majority of their trucks. We are going to be upgrading with some brand-new trucks, some of the trucks that were later model vehicles. The automated side loaders will be Republic vehicles for at least the first 8 to 10 months, but they will be rebranded. We'll paint them, put our signage on. If the town wants to put anything, on the truck, we'd be open to talk about that. But there'll be Republic's vehicles for 8 to 10 months on the trash side. The bulk or yard waste collection, recycling, those will be Waste Pro vehicles, and there'll be a mix of slightly used and new vehicles that will come in on that.
Do we still have the claw?
Yes,
And the newer trucks will not be any larger than the current trucks?
no,
Because that's very important, it's tiny little roads.
yes.
And other communities in the area that you service?
In Palm Beach County, we service the city of West Palm Beach, unincorporated area of 1, which is 47,000 homes, a very big part. It's the whole northern end of the county. We service Haverhill. And then in Broward County, we're the largest hauler in Broward County. We're actually the largest hauler of solid waste and recycling in the state of Florida. But not that big company mentality. We're a small private company. We really try to have that face-to-face. You'll see me a lot. Chris Shuley is our point of contact. So the decision maker comes, to these types of meetings so you can get answers.
The Republic folks, especially on the yard pickup day and whatnot, they've done, in my opinion, they've done a great job for us. I mean, they pick up a lot of stuff and don't leave much of a mess on the street. So
I tell you,
I think they did a good job with that.
The labor market is so thin right now, especially for finding drivers, and that was one of the most exciting parts of this deal, was the ability to hire all of their employees, because they did have a really great group of individuals, a lot of seniority with their company. We honored those employees' seniority to come over, so they didn't lose any vacation. We paid them the same rate that they were getting paid. They also, we have certain bonuses that Republic didn't have. You go 3 years, no accidents, no injuries, no property damage, no legitimate customer complaints. You get a check for $10,000 as a driver from us. So the workforce seems pretty, they were nervous. I mean, anytime there's change, there was a lot of nervous energy. But we are excited that 62 of the 64, maybe it's 42 of the 44 drivers that were available were coming over, but only 2 drivers are not.
Good. That's great. Joanne, you would like to come up and say bye?
Well, I just want to let you know it's been a pleasure for Republic Services to service you all for, we're working on it, 11 years now. And I will be here during the transition, but like Russell had said, they have our drivers, our trucks, our facility, which is a beautiful facility. So it should be a very smooth transition for you all. It should be kind of seamless, but I'm sure you also have my cell. If there's an issue, I'll make sure Chris hears about it, okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you for all you did for us.
Thank you.
We're okay with public comment? Oh, Bob?
Robert Weiss Blute, 23 Sailfish Lane. Contrary to everything the last 2 people said, the service from Republic's been terrible. The last month, I've called the office numerous times about failure to pick up. If there's recycling and trash, they'll pick one or the other, not both. If there's recycling and yard waste, one or the other. If I call up and complain and they send an email, sometimes they come back, most of the times they don't. And what I would hope for is, whatever new contract you have, because I don't know what the old contract had, I hope there's a fine system, that if they don't do the job right, they get fined. Thank you.
There is, Bob.
Anybody else? Okay. Commission discussion? Do we hear a motion?
I'll make the motion. I move to authorize Tom Manager Stevens to sign the assignment of contract, assigning the current Republic Services contract to Waste Pro of Florida, Inc., with the caveat that Waste Pro of Florida, Inc. agrees to the terms of the amended contract as provided by Town Attorney Shutt.
Second?
Okay, yeah, just to clarify, we aren't signing the assignment that they provided, it's just the amendment. So that's it, okay, I just wanted to make that clarified. Okay.
So, we second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. Thank you guys very much if you need to leave. Yep. Appreciate your time.
Look forward to seeing you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item, Ocean Manor trash pickup from Old Ocean Boulevard. This is Vice Mayor Magruder. I'll leave this up.
Well, I just want, I think everyone is here from Ocean Manor and also from Fayette Drive, and so we will have quite a bit of public comment. This issue came to my attention from residents on Fayette, and I've also spent time over at Ocean Manor talking to Bob Thompson. I've received a number of emails, a lot of emails actually, from residents that were not in town from Ocean Manor, commenting on some of the suggestions that I made. And I just want you to know that the suggestion to locate your trash to the front side, east-south side, was merely a suggestion to try and help you all with the trash trucks driving through your driveway as opposed to backing down and so on and so forth. So it wasn't a suggestion other than from the commission. It was just my idea of trying to be helpful. So with that, I guess we can open up to public comment.
Right, so public comment, I know there's two sides to this and everyone's, let's leave that word out. But, to be funny, but it would be great if there's no trash talking over the other side. Okay? So public comment. No public comment, wow.
Good evening. My name is George Lettuce. I'm the president of Colonial Ridge Club. And I sent an email to some of you, most of you. And to shorten my comments, I'll read the email so everybody else can hear it. I was informed last week by Bill Palmer, resident and board member of Ocean Manor, that you are voting on a resolution to move the recycled trash bins from the southwest corner of the Ocean Manor to the northeast corner of their property. Since you, commissioners of Ocean Ridge, are attempting to address this garbage logistics issue at Ocean Manor, why did you not consult with the board officers of Colonial Ridge Club? Guided by the board members of Ocean Manor, they showed me where you propose to relocate these 7 or 8 trash recycle bins, which lie within 20 feet of the Concord building, where I am a resident. There would be no way that my board of Colonial Ridge Club would approve of this move. Having 7 or 8 trash recycling bins directly south of the Concord building would encourage rodents, other animals, etc., to congregate with less than 20 feet of the Concord building. Besides the potential smell from the bins, and the way those bins would be a lot closer to the Concord building than the Ocean Manor building. It's not acceptable. It is my understanding that the garbage recycle bins has been behind the Ocean Manor building for a considerable length of time. All of a sudden, there was a problem brought by a small minority of people attempting to petition the town to make the decision on this. Well, I have 122 residents of the Colonial Ridge Club that would absolutely oppose this move. So I want you to vote against this move and possibly talk with the trash company and come up with a better solution. You can see that you're not just penalizing Ocean Manor residents, but also affecting Colonial Club residents. Thank you for your consideration.
Just a quick question, where do you guys put your trash?
We put our trash on the southwest corner of our building, much further away from the proposed location. It is not near Ocean Boulevard. Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bob Thompson, and I reside at 5500 Old Ocean Boulevard. Now, since this issue first came up before the town commissioners earlier this year, there's already been a plethora of communication related to specific solutions implemented by Ocean Manor to solve specific complaints. In Town Manager Tracy Stevens' April 5th email to Ocean Manor Board Secretary Joan Bergesser with copies to all of the council, I quote, it was stated, "I will also be contacting Republic Services today to let them know that their trucks can no longer park in a way that will obstruct the fire hydrant. This is at the end of Fayette Drive. If they can pull forward and to the side enough so as not to block the hydrant, they can continue to service your complex through the gate at the same time that they service all of the homes on Fayette Drive. Now, given that information, Ocean Manor residents left for the summer with the understanding that this issue had been resolved. Unfortunately, Republic has failed to follow through on those parking requirements, and we again had a problem of blocking the hydrant and driveway. The root cause, as explained in my October 30th emails to Mayor Cause and the council, was Republic's lack of communication with their drivers. The solution is quite simple. Communicate with the drivers, talk to them. This has been done, as documented in my October 30th and November 1st emails to the commissioners with the photos, which you all saw as attachments to those emails. If the trucks park in where Tracy asked them to park, many times she asked, as well as I did, there's not an issue. There is no blocked hydrant, there are no blocked driveways. They collect our trash at the same time they collect the residents of Fayette Drive. Alternatives to the current process for servicing our containers have some inherent problems. Both the Vice Mayor, Magruder, and Town Manager have concurred during multiple visits to Ocean Manor that trash and recycling trucks cannot safely negotiate our North Drive. There is just not enough room there for them to pass our exits onto the driveway side and or make the turn on our northwest corner. And pulling multiple containers from the current storage location to Old Ocean Boulevard, which is a distance of over 300 feet, is really not an option. In his memorandum of October 7th, Vice Mayor Magruder proposed moving our container storage next to Old Ocean Boulevard, and his term suggested. As this area is inside the coastal construction control line and would require Florida Department of Environmental Protection approval, we asked for review with the current DEP environmental specialist, David Keekbush, who visited our property and responded with the following. And he has a 3-sentence email here I'd like to read. Said, I am writing in regards to our recent meeting. The proposed construction of a cement pad for the trash bins will be an exempt activity under Florida DEP regulations, meaning allowed. All I need from you is a set of plans showing where the exact placement will be, and I believe we discussed the north side as being more beneficial, that being the northeast corner of our property. The reason for that is on the southeast corner, as mentioned in Vice Mayor Magruder's memorandum, there's a lot more vegetation that would have to be removed, and that area is very low, and when we have some of our torrential rains, there's at least a foot of water standing in that area, so it makes it pretty impractical to do. Now, as mentioned, over the course of past couple of weeks, you've received significant number of emails from people from Ocean Ridge and from George Lettuce from Colonial Ridge. And what this brings to mind is that besides as pointed out in the emails from our residents, and we have about 6 that sent emails, this approach or this option creates a whole new set of stakeholders in this and requires a lot more input than just the 2 parties involved in this. And so we realize that the commission is in a difficult position, which is why, again, I would respectfully request another month's postponement prior to voting to attempt resolution with the involved stakeholders. Thank you for your comments. Any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
I love the last thing you said, the involved stakeholders. I would think, my feeling on this is, you guys have trash and you have property. So my overall thought process is, I wouldn't ask my neighbor if I could use his lawn to have my trash picked up. But if you can get together with Fayette and with Colonial Ridge and come up with a location on your property that works for everyone, I think that satisfies the situation. You know, previously, you guys had trucks going down off Old Ocean to the actual bin there, right?
That is correct, when we had a dumpster.
Right, and now, for whatever reason, pavers, car sizes, whatever, that's no longer,
Not feasible.
but.
It's not safe. And
that's
as
why-
Mayor Magruder and Tracy have both been there more than once and have concurred that that is the case. It is not, it would not be a safe procedure.
So you therefore need to move the trash somewhere. And in other words, and there's other commissioners here that
Act-
probably disagree with me. I'm
Yeah.
saying you have a problem, and to cause your neighbors to absorb your problem seems a bit unfair.
Well, we don't, okay, go ahead, finish.
So, all I'm suggesting, and I like your idea of stakeholders, and I like the idea of postponing to the next meeting, but it's ridiculous if we have the meeting a month from now, and you guys haven't chatted among yourselves to come up with a solution contained within the boundaries of your property.
Well, we would suggest, and what I'm trying to point out here, is that the current system, if directions are followed by Republic or the new trash haulers, as Tracy conveyed to them, there should not be an issue. They're parking in the same spot, or should be parking in the same spot to service our containers as containers from Fayette Drive.
I understand that.
They're not
But,
blocking the
understand
hydrant
other
and they're
part of
not
the question
blocking the
is
driveway.
There's a petition signed by 20-odd people on Fayette that don't want that to occur. There's also a stipulation when this was put in place, 2014, 15.
14.
That said if there were complaints, this would be stopped. So that's where we're at. I think the commission was glad, I can only speak for myself, we'd gladly work with you guys for a solution, but you gotta work with Fayette and Colonial Ridge to come up with a solution for the stakeholders, which is a wonderful work.
Any other questions?
Bob, the reason that I suggested putting it up on the southeast corner was because that would have, in my mind, it was the most logical location. And the other thought that I had was if that did not work out, then Republic or the new Waste Pro company would have to back down that south side, which has more room in order to get to your trash containers. So that was the only suggestion that I came up with. And when you and I talked, and I've talked to the people on Fayette, and we go back to the minutes of 2005 or 2014, where the commission said, you know, if there were complaints from Fayette, then they would have precedence, and you would have to go back to another source. And so I was just trying to offer some solutions. The other one is, of course, that they would back down on the south side of your building, which I didn't think was really a good idea. I will say that the residents and Bob and whatnot, they've been very good citizens in trying to accommodate, you know, the people on Fayette, but the bottom line is the people on Fayette still don't want the trash picked up from Fayette. They want, you know, your trash picked up on your property, and so that's where I got involved, and that's why I wrote the letter, and you and I have spoken, and we've had good conversations, but that's where we're at, unfortunately.
So by the way, on your property on the southeast versus the northeast, I went down and looked at, you have 4 recycled cans and 6 trash cans.
Correct.
And you have 2 blocks of area, so to speak. There's no reason that says the recycle has to be placed in the same area as the trash. So therefore, you don't need as much space all in one area. You know what I mean? You guys can make the decision where you want this and tell the Waste Pro or Republic to, here's where you're gonna pick it up.
Yeah, just to reiterate, though, there are other stakeholders when we talk about moving this to the either northeast, which is really the only viable one because of the problem with the low-lying area in the southeast. When we have some of those big rainfalls, it's under a foot of water over there.
I'd not walk behind that vegetation.
I've got a question. I'm sorry, are you finished?
Yes, I'm open to questions.
I have a question there was two issues that came up in different emails threads. One was, are there any other pickups, Tracy, off of Old Ocean Boulevard?
Yes.
Okay, I'll check that one. And the last that I heard was the consternation is more about the configuration of how you can get in and out of your areas, the fact that you upgraded and have pavers, so you don't necessarily want the weight of the truck somewhere. But if you left the waste where it is it a viable alternative? Because I know that you spoke directly with Waste Pro. Is it a viable alternative that Waste Pro could back down from Old Ocean, pick up the waste exactly where it is, and then come back out?
That was-
Yes, that's an
why-
alternative.
That was an
Right, that's an
alternative, and
alternative.
why I suggested that they didn't want them backing down through there, that they could move the trash containers
I don't
to
see the difference between backing down one area versus backing down Fayette. Fayette is a much longer trajectory backup, so those were just two questions I had, just as.
You mean on your last point, it's shorter backup?
Correct, and it keeps the waste on
their property.
On their property, correct.
And with regard to the gentleman, was it Colonial?
Who's credit?
George.
About putting the trash cans up, or locating the trash up on the
Northeast.
northeast corner, thank you very much, with the smell and the rodents and so on and so forth. You have to think that you were talking about 20 feet or so from your complex, but you have to think where those trash cans are located right now with regard to people on Fayette. So they're no more than 20 feet from, so they're undergoing the same situation right now.
Well, we have our own trash issues that we have to take care of. We don't want an additional issue coming into 20 feet from where we are versus 60 feet from the Ocean Avenue.
Yeah, I'm sure, I'm just making the point that your problem with the receptacles being located up on your corner is the same problem that they're having with the people on Fayette, the house at 16 Fayette, or the one down at the end of Fayette. They're right back up against their wall, so, I mean, that's a problem for both parties. So that's something that you're gonna have to resolve also.
Mayor, for the record, I just want to note that Republic Services or Waste Pro will still have to back down Fayette to service the residents of Fayette. Just so you're aware of that. They still have to do that
It
either
is the
way.
same truck.
Thank you, we might call you up again, if that's
All right,
okay with
we
you.
have
And I
a couple
appreciate how
more people.
pleasant you've been. It's terrific. Do we have any, we don't? Oh, we do.
Hi, my name is Carrie Doyle Waite, and I own apartment 108 at Ocean Manor. In Vice Mayor Magruder's memorandum, he states his conclusion is in part due to our address being on Old Ocean Boulevard. I would like to point out that Ocean Manor is not the only Old Ocean address having their collection service performed on a different public street. If that criteria is set for us, we would expect it to become criteria for the other addresses on Old Ocean Boulevard currently using other streets for garbage pickup. Any questions? I didn't want to give we have the numbers, but I didn't want to give the numbers out, so if you'd like them, I have for reference, but.
Yes. Go. Yep.
Sorry. Sarah Stias, 16 Fayette. I just wanted to say that it's a lot of trash and a lot of recycling, and it's a time factor as well, the duration of the time when the truck is down there. And yes, the truck does adjust where it is, but no matter where it goes, it blocks a driveway. You know, it's in front of something. The street isn't that wide. You can't get past it with your car while it's there. And it takes time to, take the recycling from many, many units and the trash from many, many units. So, anyway, thank you.
Yes.
No, I was gonna mention what she was saying. The thing is that,
Yeah,
by the way,
yeah,
my
yeah.
name is William Osler. I'm from 102 in Ocean Manor. The thing is that we've gone ahead, I know that we've gone ahead, we've had the large containers originally, There was 2 additional trucks that did come down their street because of the large containers. And at the time, what we did was we thought maybe it would be a lot better to make it all the same containers, so it would still be the same garbage trucks that would be coming down the street. In other words, there would be no additional garbage trucks. The thing with our garbage, when it goes out, the gentleman opens the gate, comes in, pulls out the containers, so there's never any containers on the street. They're always in the cubicle just behind. The garbage truck comes right to the back, the gate is here, comes right to the back, he picks up this side, he picks up that side, and then he goes through us and takes out the 5 containers, puts it in, takes a total of about 5 minutes to do that, whether it is on recycling or whether it is on the garbage side. So I would imagine that it seems pretty simple that would be. Now, I think maybe it's with the recycling trucks. I think we can get around this by telling the recycling truck, I understand that somebody's talked to them, but maybe what we gotta do is sit down with them, and if it's some people are having trouble getting out of their driveway, then for crying out loud, let's just get them to park between the 2 driveways that are there. It's gonna take a total of about 5 minutes, cause like I say, he comes down, first thing they do is they come down from Ocean Drive, A1A, and they back all the way down to our place. They have to pick up there, they have to pick up on the other side, and then they simply open our gate, come out, and pull our garbage out. So there is no garbage on the street from us at all. They only take it out at the time and put it in the truck. And like I say, it takes about a total, whether it's recycling, whether it's garbage, it's about 5 minutes. It might be a little bit less than that, but let's just say it's 5 minutes. And it's basically it. So I think there's really a way to get around this. And that is speaking to the Republic truck. Because if somebody's being bothered by the truck itself, then we gotta talk to that fella and get it handled that way. Because the simplest way is really the way it is right now. If we start doing, somebody would have to pull them up to the top of the street, it's about 300 feet, to pull those cans up there. And as you well know, in Ocean Manor, there's probably 2 people there in the summertime. So I don't think for the maximum amount of people we have in the units there is about 14 from February 15th to March 15th. Other than that, we're just starting to come in and we'll probably be about 4 or 5 people. So the amount of garbage going out isn't a ton of garbage, other than in the heavier season, that I can tell you. But from now till February, there's not a lot of people there. And that's what I can fill out.
Do you have a property management company? Not a landscape company, a property management company?
No, we don't. We have the landscaping, but we don't do that, yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, may I speak for just a second?
Sure, I didn't see your hand.
I'll introduce myself. My name is Adria, and I live on Fayette, and I'm new here, but I have an issue. What I'm seeing lately is rats. And they're big, and it's from both you and the people behind me. How often do you clean your garbage cans?
Twice a week.
Twice a week?
They come in and take them out.
Okay, so what are you people putting down for rats? I mean, are you putting down a chemical of the little black boxes?
No, we have not.
So then when I see rats, what would you like me to do? I mean, I walk up and down the street all the time, and I really don't like seeing rats.
I haven't seen a rat. We don't.
I'm gonna start carrying my camera, so when I do, I will photocopy them and send them to you people, because I'm not comfortable with rats.
They might be from anywhere.
True, but I have seen them down there by the fire hydrant.
The only thing what I can say is that our garbage is all in the containers. So, like I say, the gentleman comes in, pulls the containers out, they go immediately into the truck, brings back the empty containers, and they go right into
Okay.
our cage.
And there's been, what, 2 people and 2 buildings?
All right, I just don't like the idea of seeing rats when I walk, because I walk constantly.
I certainly.
I love seeing rats.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We got Charlie, then the woman in stripes. You're gonna say, I'll shoot the rats for you?
Charles Kittler, 35 Hersey Drive. Ma'am, I routinely trim my palm trees, and on a half a dozen occasions, I've knocked rats out of palm trees. So it's big ones. Rats are all over the dune. You've got to bait for them constantly. We live with them. I've come home at night and watched rats skip right by Don Magruder's house and Mayor Cause's house. At night, you wouldn't believe how much they move around, so.
That's because I live next to one big lady.
I'd like to say I live on 35 Hersey Drive, but I could have my garbage on Old Ocean, because we live down on Old Ocean also. But ours is picked up on Hersey. And routinely, whether it's Waste Management, where we started out years ago, or now we have Republic, or we're going to Waste Pro, they back those big trucks down. But the biggest problem I see are the problems we cause as residents, because we park out on the street on trash pickup days. We have landscapers come on that day, and we all want to park on both sides of the street, and here comes a truck that's licensed for 60,000 pounds, and that driver has to negotiate to get down there. So we've created a lot of these problems ourselves. And I commend Republic for the work they've done in the past, because they routinely pick up past the weight limit. They pick up bigger stuff. They pick up too much stuff that they shouldn't be picking up. And we should be paying carrying fees for construction stuff going into household garbage. And if you lived in other communities in other states, if your garbage isn't in a bag, they won't pick it up because of the agreement that they have. So we're fortunate to have these people pick it up. And sure, one of their drivers might go across someone's lawn, or they might pick up a deal or whatever, but we get picked up twice a week. So I commend them for the work they do, and they've been doing a pretty darn good job. And when they miss, all right, they'll pick it up the next time. I'd say to the city council, you know, we could, if you wanted to fix this, we just have to agree that these streets down there that are very narrow, that we have to leave one side of that open on garbage pickup day, because it's gonna cause an accident sometime. Somebody's gonna get a vehicle hit, or let's hope a person doesn't get hit. So that would be the deal. And I've lived in that neighborhood long enough to know that Fayette and Sailfish, if I was a UPS driver, I don't know what I'd do going down that street, how they get turned around. I mean, it's bad news down there. And we're fortunate where we live on Hersey, but that's just one of the problems that we have. So fix that as it may. I just say, I looked today at Diamond Beach condos, which are just north of about where I live, and their south driveway, where you go southbound out of it, you can see there's a big stone that's there, big enough where we all couldn't pick it up, has been run over by a large vehicle, probably a garbage truck. So, yes, you know, these guys that are driving, they get paid a set amount of money, but they're gonna make a mistake like all the rest of us will. So you just have to forgive them for that, and then say, hey, if it happens again, you're gonna pay for it. What I've witnessed, both the not UPS, but FedEx and the U.S. Postal Service trucks run over stones too in my neighborhood. So everyone's gonna cause a problem there. And I'd hope that, you know, this trash pickup deal, it's always gonna be a problem, yes. Because we've got more demand for more people, we put up more homes. We all have to, when you see the garbage on the beach, what do? We pick it up, hopefully. When you see the garbage on the street, we pick it up. I can just tell you one thing, I lived overseas for a while, and it amazed me in the villages in Germany, the size of this town, where on Saturdays, everyone got out and cleaned the streets. And, you know, we could take a few lessons from our ancestors or people that live in other countries on how to clean things up. That's all I got to say. I thank you very much. And I hopefully we can resolve this peacefully and get rid of our rats.
That's not gonna happen.
Okay, so,
Somebody else is gonna.
we good?
There was a lady over here.
Hi, Melanie Rodriguez, Fayette. I'm agreeing with what Colonial Ridge said when he said the smell, the rodents, because we're dealing with that right now on Fayette. We have the extra garbage cans. We have houses at the end who they have to park at the end. They can't move their cars, who have doctor's appointments, who have elderly parents that they need to get out, and they have to park 2 days a week on the side of the road because they have to leave for appointments. They don't have a choice. So they do have to move their car. it is Ocean Manor's trash. So we're agreeing that, yes, they need to take care of their own trash. And I think we have a lot of people here from Fayette. We're asking you to make a decision because they want us to take their trash. We don't want their trash. We have a narrow street. We have children and elderly people on our street. So I think we're asking you to make a decision. Thank you.
Dan?
I'm Daniel Hartwell. I live at 5505 North Ocean Boulevard. And congratulations on the movie deal, Mr. Mayor. Very cool. And I promise you I'm not here to promote Beatles on the Beach, which is coming up March 27th and 28th. Anyway, I living in Ocean Ridge and on Old Ocean Boulevard, I really believe it is one of the gems of Ocean Ridge. It's absolutely stunning, it's beautiful, and I sit on my balcony and I probably watch 600, 700, 800 people a morning and during a day walk by, and it's a gem. And to see trash cans out there and more trucks coming up and picking up trash cans, I really don't want it. I live on that corner also. I'm sure I'm going to smell it if it ends up being there also and ending up complaining. We have a trash barrel on the beach on our beautiful octagon gazebo. We don't have anyone pick it up there. We bring our trash in and we bring it inside. We have it picked up there, in which I suggest everybody should be doing that on the inside or somewhere else, not on this gem of a street that we have, Old Ocean Boulevard. Nobody has this. And I mean, just that little strip there is just so magical, and I'm hoping to keep it that way. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Peace and love.
Okay. Yes.
Hi, I'm Debbie Cook, and I live at 5500 Old Ocean Boulevard. And I keep hearing people say it's our trash. We all have trash. I thought this was resolved. We have tried to do whatever anybody wants to do. I agree. Old Ocean Boulevard is a gem. I mean, that's why I live there, is because I can walk that area. If I sell my place, I will, again, buy in this area. Because of that road, I just cannot imagine walking down and have trash cans at any property along that way. As far as rats and all, I haven't seen them. I mean, where our trash is in an area that is built and confined. We have a gate there, and I just asked somebody, is there space under it? I think it's about that much space. I mean, we would even make a gate where the rats can't go under if we have it, but I've never seen rats. I don't think at any time, there's only 20 people, so when you say all of their trash, there's only 20 units in the whole place. And I don't think that all of those units have ever had people all there at one time. In the summer, I come down, I just got down here today at 4 o'clock, and it's not filled up. I came down in the summer, it's not filled up. I just totally redid our place. We put no construction trash in there. We had our builder take everything away. Our trash does not stink. I mean, I'm not taking pride in our trash, but I've never, even walking back there, smelled it. We have tried going from a dumpster to small trash cans. We have notes in our area to cut down all the cardboard so that there's no boxes. So I cut down any cardboard that we have to make it minimal. We do say any trash goes in bags, in our trash bags. So again, with Old Ocean, not because I live there, but to think that I'm going to now start walking past trash cans all along that road, that blows my mind. I hope that we can come up with some resolution. I was also just looking at the aerial map where they're saying there's no place to park because of the driveways. There is, on both sides. Yes, there looks like there's driveways right next to our wall. Again, we have a wall there. It's not like you're looking at our trash, our wall's high enough. We have one access gate. We made it nice on the back. It wasn't just to get rid of our pretty pavers that we, tried to take care of this situation. It was also a safety issue of the trucks coming in and out, and from my understanding, I was surprised when this was even coming up, because I thought we had been working with you people to take care of this situation. So again, if there's something else we can do, I think we'd like to. With both parking driveways right next to the wall, then there's a space on the edge and then another driveway. I don't know where that truck parks now, but they're still gonna have to do it. I don't think that
I
we
think we're all
have.
very familiar with the geography at the end of Fayette and the geography in your location.
I'm sorry, say that again?
We're all very familiar with the geography on Fayette and the
Okey-doke.
geography in Ocean Manor.
Okey-doke.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, what do we want to, yes.
Hi, Donna Tarda, Fayette Drive. We all think our area in Ocean Ridge is a pride, not just Old Ocean. And they do bring their barrels. They open the gate, they bring their barrels out and their recycling, and they leave it there. They do take it back in later in the day. So they can't say it's not out. It's on our side, and it does smell. Thank you.
So, let me just clear one thing and then maybe we can move to a vote on something. We're not quite sure exactly what we're voting on. There's no, the commission is obviously not going to instruct someone to load Old Ocean Boulevard with trash cans. Okay, so just take that argument off the table. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What do we want to do here? Do we want to have a straight vote on Ocean Manor taking care of the trash? Do we want to have a vote that says that Ocean Manor will take care of their trash and come back in December and tell us exactly how they're going to take care of their trash within their compound? Like, what kind of vote or do you want to have a straight vote, whether
Well,
people agree or disagree?
I see both sides, and I see where each has a problem, and I also understand the fact that there was a deal that if things went awry on Fayette, that Ocean Manor had to make some changes here. I also see Ocean Manor bending over backwards to try and do something right. But we have to keep the other side happy as well. So the gentleman there said in his letter that he would like to delay any commission decision until December so that he could try and work it out one more time with Fayette with, I think you had, what, 4 suggestions or possibilities? So my thought would, let's give it one more chance to see if they can work it out between themselves before we have to,
My only, I like the concept and I like the word stakeholders. I said my only concern here is that we've heard very strongly from Fayette that they don't want that
There is no word.
trash coming through that
I
gate.
know.
So if the trash can't come through that gate, then that means Ocean Manor has to take care of their trash in whatever manner Ocean Manor can take care of their trash. Right?
I'm not sure a postponement at this point is going to make a lot of difference. We've had the same emails and the same stakeholders speaking to us for 4 to 5 months. We've all been out there 2 to 3 times. So I'm ready for a vote.
Okay, you ready for a vote?
Sounds like the commission is ready for a vote.
Yeah.
So,
Now, what is
Yeah,
the,
what is the vote?
what is the vote?
That's a whole nother can of worms.
I mean, if I may, it appears that the minutes of the January 6, 2014 meeting provided that the commission at that time took action that allowed the garbage to flow from Ocean Manor onto Fayette, which normally would not be the case. So I think what if your motion was to rescind that action or to not allow that to occur, then I think the motion would be that given, that the motion is based on the fact that you have gotten complaints, that you would now vote to not allow the garbage to come, from one property through the other property as previously allowed. And so therefore Ocean Manor, at that point in time, they would have to figure out a way how to dispose of their garbage without using that gate.
Right. The exact language was the dumpster pickup be changed back through the Ocean Manor parking lot.
Okay.
So did you say enough so that somebody can just say so moved?
I think so, yes.
Okay,
Okay, so moved.
a second?
I guess I'll second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Say nay.
Nay? So it's a 3-1. So, just so we're clear on this, so Ocean Manor can solve the problem internally, and then work with Tracy, work with any one of the commissioners you want to solve the problem internally. We're totally open to any solution you guys come up with, and we're not looking to put trash cans on Old Ocean.
It wasn't the thought that the trash cans would be put out on Old Ocean. My suggestion, and I talked to Mr. Thompson about this, was that the trash cans would stay over in that corner, and that the service truck would go in and pick them up and bring them out. They wouldn't come out and sit on the street during the day. And there's probably about 3 or 4 properties on Old Ocean, I think, that put trash out, the residents down at the north end. So I wouldn't anticipate that you all would move them outside, put them on the street until Republic come by. Republic would come by and stop and pick them up from the service area in the front of the property or back down. You know, I'm sorry, I know you guys have been good citizens, but we go back to the conditions of the agreement, which was originally in 2014.
Okay, moving on.
Excuse me, can I ask a question? I understand your decision, don't agree with it, but I understand it. And the question would be, what is the time frame we're talking about to reach this? In other words, at this point in time, there is no option at the current time, and how much time do we have to work with Republic and others to get this done?
That's a good question. I would think to see if they can go down the south side of the property, we could have at least a preliminary by the December meeting, that here's how it's being picked up now.
Okay.
And I would say by the new year, it should be totally resolved within 2 months. And then you'll have more of your residents back too, more think tank ideas.
And just, because at that suggestion, which was not in your memorandum, about them backing down our south driveway, that is the exit side of the property currently. And, Bill, does that open with a clicker?
No, not that one.
No. So,
You think you need more than 4 weeks, is that what you said?
yeah, well, I'm saying I'm not sure how we would.
Why don't you give us an update at the December meeting?
I will do so.
And you guys are working very pleasantly with us, and we appreciate that, so we'll just look for a solid update in December and work out any kinks.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 5. Approve an agreement between the Town of Ocean Ridge and Exxon Enterprise for the purchase of body-worn camera systems for the police department. Chief?
I'll try to be as short as I can. This came before you in the budget process. Request to implement a body-worn camera program. I provided you with the backup in your packets. The recommended vendor is Axon Enterprises. It is a recommended vendor within Palm Beach County at this point in time. I'm asking that you authorize that I go forward with this project at this point in time, based upon the comments that you had in the budget process. All of you were provided with a draft policy, and I asked for comments. Those comments that were provided have all been addressed in the policy that is in the packet today. And the town attorney is currently working with Axon Enterprises on some minor language changes regarding public records and Inspector General requirements in Palm Beach County. I expect that those will be resolved by the end of the week. So I'm just asking for approval to move forward with the budgeted amounts so that everybody understands. It is $18,996.16 in the first year, and a continuing cost of $12,575,000.96 for years 2 through 5. That is for warranties, replacement policies, and storage of all of the video that would be collected and the facility, back office facility to manage that program.
And if I can, Chief, real quick, on this one, I know we talked about it, but I can't remember, was this a sole source or best interest acquisition?
In my opinion, it is both. The sole source is the software functionality and the cloud storage solution provided by Axon Enterprises that is accepted widely by the state attorney's office. And the best interest of the town is because of the ability for us to provide this directly to the prosecutor's office in a format which they accept, which minimizes our requirement to have additional personnel monitoring this program.
Oh, okay, I mean, just to clarify though, I guess are they, and pardon me, I know we talked about this and I can't remember, this was, the only reason I'm asking is because if it's best interest acquisition, then we have to have a 4-vis vote, which means that all 4 of you have to vote to approve it. Otherwise, if it's sole source, then it, it could be a 3 to, just, we would need a simple majority. So that's the reason I'm asking. And I couldn't remember if they had provided the documentation that this was a sole
The
source.
sole source documents are in the package.
Okay.
So, does that mean we need 4?
Well, no, I think in accordance with this, it seems like that this is a sole source acquisition, so therefore, based on your purchasing code, we would just need 3, a simple majority of 3 to approve this item.
This budget, to spend the money to buy the camera.
Yes, correct, to approve this request.
Okay. Public comment?
May I identify from back here? Penny Kaczynski, 6,000 Old Ocean. First, I support our chief and our police department 100%. And I apologize, I missed the budgeting meetings. But did we investigate state or federal grants for these cameras? Don't they exist?
I don't know if they exist. They were not. I'm an opponent. I'm the only person on the commission that it doesn't like this whole
I'm not
concept.
saying I'm an opponent at all. I'm just saying we have a tight budget. And could we or did we investigate grants?
I was unable to find any grants that were suitable for the town. There are large Department of Justice grants for large agencies to implement these types of programs. Several years ago, when this was very new and very much in the spotlight, there were a significant amount of grants.
Like FEMA and those
Well,
types of things?
Actually, they were called grants, but they were incentive programs by vendors to get you to buy them.
Through FEMA?
No.
Okay,
So-
because there are some that are listed out there through FEMA.
And most of the ones that I found through DOJ, Department of Justice, which would come for us, we would not apply. We would not be able to apply for them because of our size and because of our budgeting. We aren't constrained, unfortunately. And right today, it's unfortunate that we're not constrained by budget and could get those federal funds.
I appreciate the fact that you looked into it. Thank you.
If I had, I would have certainly been more than happy to let someone else pay for them.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Stella Kolb, 204 Beachway. I'm not sure how I feel about these cameras one way or another. And I may have not have been in town if there were a discussion about them. I would like to know, like, are they activated all the time? Are they going, how do they affect the regular residents? Like, if I have a good rapport with an officer, am I still allowed to say, hey, Joe, how are you? You want a cup of coffee? Or am I going to be taped all the time? Or are you going to have the tape on all the time or not? I mean, there's a lot of little questions that I really quite don't understand, and if you could clarify anything, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
They are not intended to be operated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are for recording actions when an officer is in the performance of their official duty, responding to calls, gathering evidence, and those types of things, or when they believe an altercation or a confrontational situation may arise. There are several instances outlined in the policy that I provided to you regarding activation. If you'd like, I can read them to you to give you an idea of what
Did
that is.
not all the commissioners receive
All of the commissioners have
But
received
I
the
think it would be
package that I
interesting
presented.
for the public to hear them. How long will it take you to read? Because there's a few things in there that trouble me deeply. For instance, let's say Stella is having a conversation on the beach with Joe, and he gets a call, the way I read that and the way it was explained to me, his microphone automatically activates. There's different things that automatically activate it, so you don't know whether or not you're being recorded or not at any given moment, unless the police officer pushes the button to shut it off.
There are currently no desire, from my understanding, to have an automatic activation system. They're activated manually by the officer based upon the response to a call for service. There is no direction in this policy, as presented to you, for casual citizen encounters to be recorded.
So it's up to the officer.
So
to
it would,
when he
so
pushes the
it
button.
would be up to the officer based upon direction. If they are responding to a call, I'm going to use the most common call that we would have, which would be a traffic stop. Then that interaction is an enforcement action, and they would be required to activate the camera so that they can record that interaction with the public. If they are responding to a domestic violence dispute, which is another call that we get on occasion here, they would be required, when they receive that call, to activate their body camera and record that for evidentiary purposes. If they're responding to a fight at, and I'm gonna make up an address, 6415 North Ocean Boulevard, with multiple combatants, they would be required, when they receive that call, to activate their camera. It would record their response to, it would record the things that are going on as they approach. It may record actions that are necessary for a successful prosecution. It may be used to record actions that allow us to determine that someone, in fact, is not culpable in something. There's any number of things that recording can be used for in those events, but I would not present to you, I can assure you, something that would record somebody's 12-hour shift consistently from the time they walked in to the office until they left. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that it's fiscally responsible to do that, and I don't believe that there's a need for us to do that as a town against our employees. And I don't believe that we need to record every citizen interaction we have. We have a considerable amount of those. I think somebody said 600 to 800 people on Old Ocean. We try and reach out and touch all of them every day. Those are not the types of incidents that are outlined in this policy as you directed me to provide to you.
Can I just interject for 1 second too? Stella, the policy was included in the meeting packages, and that can be reviewed online by the public.
That's right. Everything's there. I read it.
So I'm safe in my pajamas getting dog biscuits?
Safer.
If you don't mind
Safer.
being on YouTube. So I'm in the minority on this. My three reasons are the activation. The other person gets to decide when to activate the camera. The community police feel that we have in this town is very relaxed and comfortable with the police. And now, anytime you're talking to a police officer, you could be being recorded, which I think will damage the relationship between the police and the citizens. And number three, now that this tape exists, or this video exists, or this microchip exists in police headquarters, and correct me if I'm wrong here, if there is a problem, the police officer gets to watch it, police officer's supervisor gets to watch it, and the police chief gets to watch it. And whoever may or may not have done something wrong doesn't necessarily get the opportunity to watch it unless they bring in a lawyer.
I don't know where you would get that
From this
information.
budget meetings.
But no, that is not 100% correct. Yes, the officer has a right to review his video. Yes, on a complaint, a supervisor certainly should be reviewing that video to determine if there is cause for complaint and if there is perhaps cause for action against the employee. I reserve the right to review my officer's work, if that's in recording or otherwise. If that's taken away, I don't see any reason to do that.
That's my problems with
I
the
provided
system.
you with, at the direction and request of one commissioner, I provided you with the experts from Florida Chapter 112, which is the police officers and law enforcement officers' Bill of Rights. That's the common terminology of that statute, which gives us specific statutory language that we have to follow regarding body-worn cameras and police officers. I've also given you Chapter 943, which is the statutory language that directs how police officers are certified and how law enforcement agencies are maintained throughout the state. And I gave you an expert from Florida Chapter 112, 119, which is the Florida Public Records Law, which in section 071-2L is dedicated to, for lack of a better term, body cameras and the footage and what is public record and what is not. And at nowhere in there does it say that you have to have an attorney. It does give you specific exemptions if you're the victim of a crime. It gives you the ability to have things redacted. It tells what we can and cannot release in certain circumstances. The biggest would be, we respond to a lot of medical emergency calls here with the fire department. And if the officer has that camera operating while they're responding to that call for whatever reason, and they're in the private residence for the purpose of just a medical call, that's an exempt record, and no one's entitled to look at it. I tried to give you as much information as I could to dispel your alarm that this was something that you didn't want. And I don't know if there's something else I could provide to you that would clarify any of the information I've given you already.
Well, it seems to me that a lot of this, this is not we're not the first town to do this. Actually, we're the tail wagging the dog in terms of implementation. So a lot of this state statute is very clear about what can be done and what can't be done. And we can't override that, and we won't override that. I'm in favor of the cameras. I love the community aspect, and I don't think it will destroy it at all. Actually, I think it will build confidence within our community, because there have been several incidences where if a camera had been used, we may not be in continual litigation time and time again. So it is just a tool like the license plate, like the vest, like the mace. It is a tool. It's not in and of itself something that is going to solve crimes or prevent crimes. It is just a tool that if we have to go to any type of litigation, then we have it, because without it, it seems that it is harder and harder to do any type of legal action. So.
Okay, any other commissioner comments? All right, so somebody wants to make a motion here?
Oh, let's see. Is this a motion here, Brian, or just staff request approval to expend funds?
I think what the chief is asking for is the approval to expend the funds set forth in their proposal, with the caveat that we can, let me see, that, okay, yes, the project upon approval of all contract, yes, that would be sufficient.
But wouldn't we have to tag it and another 12,500 in the years 2 through 5?
And it's my understanding that's what you're approving. I mean, this is a 5-year agreement, so the first year's about 18, each year 2 through 5 is like another 12.5.
Right, we discussed that.
Yes.
It was put in there.
So that's the proposal that you would be approving, yes.
Right, so moved.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Nay. So that's 3-1. Passed. Recommendation of the Septic to Sewer Citizens Advisory Committee regarding water infrastructure. Tracy, is this still going forward tonight?
Yeah, let's discuss it briefly, and then I'll make a recommendation. As you know, the town's 30-year contract with the city of Boynton Beach regarding the potable water system will end in 2020. At the last Septic to Sewer Citizens Advisory Committee, the committee heard a presentation from the town engineer regarding the potable water system. The majority of the committee, voting 4-1, recommended to the commission that the town agree to transfer ownership of the entire water system to Boynton Beach at no charge to them, subject to Ocean Ridge residents paying the same in-city rates as the city of Boynton Beach residents pay, with no surcharge, and that the city of Boynton Beach assume all responsibility for and pay all costs of the maintenance, repairs, and replacement of the water infrastructure at no charge to the residents of the town of Ocean Ridge by any means. If the town commission wishes to accept the recommendation of the Septic to Sewer Citizens Advisory Committee, the town attorney and I will begin negotiations with Boynton on the potable water contract as instructed. If the town commission does not wish to accept the committee's recommendation, staff will bring that information back to the committee with further instructions on how to proceed. And due to the amount of unanswered questions that still remain at this time, staff does recommend further exploration by the committee to attempt to answer the questions that have come up between now and then, or between then and now.
Anybody, Brian, any additional?
No, the only other comment that I would make, I know that in some of the commissioner meetings, the question was asked on whether or not that this is, that in November of 2020, is that a hard cutoff date in the agreement? And actually, the agreement that we have with Boynton provides that it will continue on a year-to-year basis unless either party decides to terminate it. So therefore, if we do nothing, if Boynton does nothing, then the current agreement that we have dealing with water service will continue under its present terms and conditions.
And if Boynton suddenly decides no, is there a year or two grace period or something?
No, not really. I mean, the agreement basically provides, I think they would still provide us water, but the caveat of providing it at the same rates that they provide it for the residents of Boynton would be gone. And so therefore, they would be able to charge us. And I also, Christine, looked at the state statute, and they could probably still implement a 25% surcharge. So that, I think some of that language is still in place if they wanted to. So those are just some of the things that, that if the agreement did go away, there's a possibility your rates could increase.
So Tracy, who are you saying to give this back to? The Septic to Sewer Committee?
The committee, because we have a lot of questions that still need to be
Answer the
answered.
10 questions.
Yeah.
This is really, in my mind, premature. I don't think the Septic to Sewer Advisory Committee is really on a very good track. They're really doing a good job. I think this came to the commission too quickly. They haven't been able to do a lot of the research that they wanted to do, and they still need to do. And it also involves, the sewer part of it. So, I mean, their charter or their charge is not only dealing with the potable water situation with Boynton, but also where we were going with the sewer or the septic systems, the sewer systems. And so I think that those two things need more research and more attention and more time with the advisory committee. And so I think at this point in time, we ought to just kick it right back to the committee and let them continue their work.
Okay, just realize one expires in a year and the other is
Right.
5 or 10 years out. So I wouldn't
Yes.
necessarily wed the two.
Right.
And
Right.
also, I think when we set up the septic, the sewer, and you guys suddenly got dragged into water, and that was
A secondary.
a secondary unintentional, but it happened and you guys were in a position to do it. The septic to sewer committee function is to gather as much information as possible about funding, pipes, systems that would be best for the town if we were mandated. So it's not a committee to decide, keep sewers or do septic. It's a committee that if we're forced to do sewers, that we are ahead of the other towns around here as far as where to get funding, grants, et cetera, et cetera. Great, terrific. Neil's nodding his head. So consensus to bump this back and get the?
Well, like Tracy says, there's a lot of questions to be answered about, and, I mean, not that we have to put it on the way back burner, because that is pretty important with the end of the year
Yeah.
contract, but questions with Boynton, our pipes are our assets, and what does that mean in perpetuity, and situations that may arise, and how can, what's Boynton got to tell us, offer us, so to speak, besides just, I know, keeping the rates and what have you, but I think there are some more questions to be answered before we jump on that.
Well, and I think we should be very conscientious, and staff needs to be very clear what you're going to be asking of the committee, like you said, because the committee kind of got roped into it. But, you know, with a $3.8 million capital asset, to give it away for nothing is fiscally irresponsible, and I can't even begin to fathom that, so. But I think staff has to be very clear. I think Lisa Trepepe, our engineer, needs to be what we need from her needs to be very clear. What we need from you, Wayne, needs to be very clear, so we have all the pieces of the puzzle, and it doesn't seem like people are just spinning or wasting their time, so.
Absolutely.
Do you feel confident?
Yes.
Okay.
Comments, please. Is it okay?
We're gonna bump it, so you
Yeah,
don't
but
have to.
it's on the agenda,
Yeah.
where you make comments.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Terry Brown, Harbor Drive South. One of the things that no one has mentioned, at least that I'm aware of, is that this transfer of infrastructure, this is an infrastructure that the town owns. It's worth millions of dollars. Your own audit tells you, the last audit, which you won't have another one until next September, is that the little funny guy that comes and shows? I don't mean
He's
funny,
here
but-
now. He's
Yeah.
here now.
In the audience?
That the net, no, he's your auditor.
He was here today.
And he says that you have over $16 million in net capital assets. And he goes through the whole thing about the building, this building is still worth over $5 million. And by the way, I never would have voted for it, even though my name's on the plaque out there. I did not vote to approve this building.
We should take your name off.
You can take it, you can chisel it off.
No brainer.
South African, Dutch, colonial structure in South Florida. Give me a break. But anyway, that's listed separately in your assets. But no one has discussed the value of this infrastructure that you're giving to the city
That's
of
exactly
Boynton
what
Beach.
it's being.
Let me finish, okay? I waited long enough. The value of that infrastructure is going to the city of Boynton Beach for what? For them to repair the pipes? And they're twisting your arm with this fantasy of a 25% surcharge? They're not gonna charge other than in-city services on this barrier island. That's just a fact. They've already committed to that before. That now they're trying to come back and tell you they're gonna do that. They're not gonna do that. These pipes are an asset that they're gonna get, and you're gonna lose it the next time the auditor comes in and does an assessment of your assets. It's gonna be reduced by whatever they're worth, $10 million, I estimate. I could be.
4.
4? Only $4 million for all of the pipes?
For
There's
water,
no-
just the water
Yeah,
infrastructure,
yeah,
not
okay.
stormwater, just potable
Right.
water.
Thank you, Terry.
But there's no, there's no detail on this audit. So you're gonna give it to them, and they're gonna repair the pipes for $4 million, $5 million, whatever it is? Crazy.
So do we have consensus to move this back to the septic to sewer to get
Yes.
answers to the town
Absolutely.
officials' questions?
Yes.
Consensus? We're good.
Yes.
Okay, moving on, 7.
I have this question. If we turn the pipes over to Boynton, do they become responsible for the fire hydrants?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Number 7, resolution number 2019-21, and this is,
A resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, designating the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections or designee or successor, the town clerk or designee or successor, and the town manager or designee or successor as the canvassing board to be in attendance for the testing of the computer, electronic system tabulating equipment to be used for the general election schedule for March 17th, 2020, and to canvass return of such elections, including the absentee ballots. Assigning the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections or designee to handle the absentee ballots, providing for a repeal of prior resolutions in the conflicts herewith and providing for an effective date. So this is just an annual step we have to do for part of election processes, and it's just pretty much designating us to the canvassing board.
Bookkeeping, any public comment? Commission comment? Motion?
I move to approve resolution number 2019-21 as presented.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, Cordova. Okay, action item number 8, resolution 2019-22, a resolution of the Town of Ocean Ridge adopting budget amendments. Town Manager Tracy Stevens.
Yes, at the end of each fiscal year, as part of your year-end closing procedures, budget amendments must occur in order to make sure that no line items in the budget are overexpended in order to meet governmental auditing standards. During FY19, we had several commission-directed projects completed, such as the fire hydrant maintenance, several drainage-related projects, increased repairs and maintenance townwide, and the water main breaks on A1A that were not expected. We also overexpended on the legal services line due to code amendments and the comp plan amendment process. All of the other line items that went over by small amounts are due to increased costs and also the fact that we are budgeting a lot more closely than we have in years past. The budget amendments have a zero net effect on the overall town budget, and no funds will be used from reserves to pay for the projects that were completed during FY19. On the contrary, some of those funds will be returned to the reserves at the end of the year, and I think that it's going to be pretty healthy. If you have any questions regarding the year-end budget amendments, I'd be happy to answer. Over
I know you hate to
100,000, I
be put on the
believe.
spot,
Yeah,
but-
I believe it will be over 100,000 that will go back into reserves.
That's fantastic.
Sorry to interrupt you, Tracy.
No problem.
Public comment? Commission comment? Thank you, Tracy, for fiscal responsibility. That's
Yes,
great news on the
absolutely.
reserve.
Excellent.
We need a motion.
I'll move to approve resolution number 2019-22 as presented.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Unanimous. That was an aye, right?
Yeah, it was an aye.
All right.
Sorry, it's an aye, just a little late.
Resolution number, action item number 9, resolution 2019-23, amending the employee handbook.
Carla?
A resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending the employee handbook, providing for a repeal of previous resolution in conflict and providing for an effective date.
Okay, staff is proposing changes on a few items in the employee handbook, such as updating our workers' comp section by placing a time limit for the town to hold an employee's position open if out of work due to a workers' comp injury, updating the smoking policy, adding a section for donated leave time, and adding a town policy regarding field training officer pay for employees who train our new employees that come in during the course of the employees' regular normal duties. The workers' comp policy, field training officer policy, and the donated leave time policy are already listed on our collective bargaining agreement with the town, and we would like to extend those policies to cover all town employees.
Public comment? I had a question.
Yes.
New employees who train new employees during the course of their normal duties.
Yes.
What percentage are we talking here?
5.
5. Okay.
I have.
And it's a limited time.
Yes, it's a limited
Just for the
time
amount
frame.
of time that they spend training, but to me, that,
It's part of a job description.
well, I've never, in 40 years in business, I've never paid, it's like cross-training and so on and so forth, so that you have, if you have absences or whatnot, you have other employees that can step in and do that job. So I just question, to me, it doesn't seem logical that you would pay existing employees additional to train fellow employees that are on the same administrative staff. That's my question on that one, and I don't know if the other commissioners have a comment with that.
I just think to continually feel obligated to mimic what we begrudgingly sometimes agree with PBIA is not a really good policy for us to keep doing. there's a reason that the rest of our staff is not union. They're happy. It's a small group. They're respected by the town. They're respected by their fellow colleagues. And I don't think that this is necessarily being pushed by them, so I'm not quite sure where some of this is coming from, so.
Additionally, I think you just adopted this from the police department, but I mean, I would certainly change the wording on it. I mean, you have field training officer pay. I mean, that's definitely not correct, but I still have problems with that one. And the other one that I have a problem with is can you legally, if somebody's out on a workers' comp injury, depending on the seriousness of it, if after a year they're still on workers' comp, you can terminate them?
Yes, it's an administrative separation in order to hire a new employee for that position, because we're holding that position open, and where we're such a small agency, say if we had somebody go out in one of our small departments, if we had only 2 people in that department, then we only have 1 person in that department for a full year, it
Well, we've been
causes
through
a
that
burden.
situation.
Yeah,
So but the employee that was hurt and is out on workers' comp, they would continue to receive their workers' comp
correct.
benefits.
That's correct,
But they
through
just
the
would
insurance
not be
company.
entitled to be able to come back to their job or a
Correct.
similar paying job
Correct.
after 1 year.
Mhm.
So maybe, maybe we could give this back to Tracy to do a little word fixing, and maybe on this bonus to train employee, it could be structured differently or time frame involved, like, 2 weeks if it's taking extra hours at the town manager's discretion, something, so that there is an incentive to train the employees well, but at the 5%, in perpetuity,
Well,
really.
If they're training an employee and it's taken away from their current job duties and they're gonna have to work some overtime to catch up, then they're getting
Right.
paid time and a half on the catch-up.
So I think we're kind of here, and we want the wording changed.
Sure,
I
I
don't
mean,
know
we're
about
gonna have to have the training if we're gonna extend a year holding somebody's position. And I've heard all the reasons why and how, and, excuse me, I'm still not in favor of it. I think that's a ridiculous amount of time, and, especially with such a small staff. We've already had it come and bite us twice.
What are you talking
Are you talking about the year-long?
Yes.
But isn't
Okay,
that
that's a
legal?
different situation,
Isn't
right?
that a legal situation?
Well, I mean, I think part of the question is a year required, can it be shorter?
Is that what you mean?
And so that's something, and I guess, Tracy, you've had conversations with Matt in our office,
Yes,
right?
correct.
Regarding this, and what we can do, I think, I don't know, I mean, is there a time frame that this has got to be approved at this meeting, or can we bring it back in December?
It can be brought
Okay,
back.
that would be my suggestion, that we do that, and maybe we have conversations with you all, kind of filling you in on, well, here's this language or that language, and when it comes back,
Could
then
we also
hopefully.
look at what other best practices are by other municipalities? Because I was literally laughed out of the room when I mentioned this to one municipality, so,
We can,
okay.
yeah.
And then
Will
we'll
you
look at the time limit as vague.
Okay,
Okay.
so we're gonna kick it back and
Postpone
address.
to the next meeting,
Yeah,
yes.
we got it. So that's number 9 taken away. All right, now we're on to town manager. Tracy's report.
Okay, the March 2020 election is coming up soon. Interested candidates may pick up qualifying packages at Town Hall beginning in late November. We would have had them ready sooner, but we're waiting for the Supervisor of Elections office to give us some of the paperwork involved in the packages. The qualifying period for candidates to file with the town clerk will run from noon on Monday, December 2nd, until noon on Friday, December 13th. The seats up for election this year are currently held by Vice Mayor Magruder and Commissioner Hurlburt. The Garden Club and staff have been working together on a Veterans Day celebration for the community. Please join us for a ceremony and a picnic lunch here at Town Hall on Monday, November 11th at noon. Be on the lookout for the annual garbage and recycling invoices that were mailed to residents last week, along with the annual report and a flyer regarding solid waste collection services. The drainage project on Spanish River Drive commenced on October 22nd. Staff is currently working through some of the issues that have arisen with that project, and we hope to proceed quickly so the residents in that area can begin to see some of the benefits of that drainage project. Public Works has been working with FPL and its contractors to resolve the streetlight issues on Old Ocean Boulevard. I believe those have been resolved at this time.
There's still one out.
Yeah. So a majority have been fixed at this time. I'm happy to report that I have initiated a new employee recognition committee internally. I shared my vision with the employees that will be serving on the committee, and they are off and running to make this come to fruition. I'm in hopes that the program will begin to boost morale and make Ocean Ridge an even better place to work for our employees. The Institute for Regional Conservation and the town of Ocean Ridge will be hosting the Restoring the Gold Coast event at Town Hall on Saturday, November 16th from 9 to noon. The event will begin with an educational workshop inside Town Hall with presentations by George Gann and Marianne Cody of the Garden Club, followed by a biodiversity planting on the dune along with light refreshments, and we hope that you all can come make it to that event. Our police department hosted a community event near Porter Street crossover along Old Ocean Boulevard on October 29th. We greeted residents and their pets with refreshments and a smile and had some great conversations with our residents. We hope to do this again in the near future and also some other events that are similar to that. And then I just wanted to read a letter that we received from a resident. It says, I called dispatch a couple of nights ago because my small dog ran off the dock here in Briney. 3 officers arrived in minutes and helped rescue him, although to some who think that's just nice, to me it meant the world. I was treated like family in the town of Briney Breezes. Thank you, Barbara.
Wow.
Nice work.
Very nice. Just one comment, by the way, and I'm not saying that I'm accurate on this. The trash pamphlet that you reference here?
Yes.
I gave it to a gentleman that just moved into town. So he calls me up and says, it says bulk pickup is Tuesday and Friday. It's not.
It is.
Under the new contract.
It
It's
is
only
under
Tuesday.
contract.
Under the new contract.
You can put up bulk on Friday?
So there was a change from our former, there was a change from our former contract to the current contract.
Correct.
So,
Bulk including vegetation?
Bulk is not vegetation.
Right.
Bulk is not vegetation.
Bulk,
Bulk is the
there
bulk
are
items.
several categories of trash.
Right.
I'm very good at this lately. Recyclables, household garbage,
Right.
bulk trash, an old couch, a refrigerator with its doors removed, a large object. Vegetation, and then there's one that they don't pick up, which is construction debris.
Right.
And that should, other than hazardous materials, should run the gamut of.
Do you have to take the door off the appliance?
If you put a refrigerator outside for pickup, it is a Florida statute that the doors be completely removed or that the doors be completely locked shut so that no child can get inside.
And that can happen on a Tuesday and a Thursday on a weekly basis?
Under our
Tuesday and
new,
Friday, how about that?
under our
Tuesday,
new
Friday.
contract,
Right.
it can happen on Tuesdays and Fridays, not just
But you
Fridays.
mean new, as in the one that we've had in
As
place
in-
for years?
Yes, started October 1st.
This
New,
one.
new, new, new.
Who knew?
Apparently from your looks,
I'm usually putting out my lawn clippings on Tuesdays and my
No, sir.
recycle.
hold on.
I know I still get to do lawn
Yeah,
clippings, but I also put, like, if I go to Rusty Bicycle, I put that on Tuesday. I didn't realize I could put it on
Yes,
Tuesday. Well,
just
Friday.
separate them.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't commingle and you'll
Yeah,
be fine.
don't
No
commingle.
commingle.
Yes, if you're
Wow.
holding on to the old refrigerator, the old
Oh, God.
27-inch box TV, you may put it out on Tuesdays now, as long as you.
Tuesday or Friday.
Chief, when is our next shredding event? I know we're gonna do 2 this year. When
So,
is-
I have to get with the town manager and determine what the best time would be for that. We may do something in the evening. We have to coordinate with Shred It, and I would like to do it when most of our residents are here, so that we get the biggest bang for our buck, because we pay for the time, not how much you.
Exactly.
Right. So that would be what, December, January?
I would like to do it in December or January sometime. I've heard some negative feedback on trying to do something in December because we have so many events
Yeah.
coming up. So,
A lot of people don't come till after Christmas, so.
and it may be the middle of January or the end of January, and then again at the
After
tax
season, yep.
Good idea.
And then tax season.
Clever. Town attorney report.
The only thing I have, I was asked by the town manager to just kind of summarize what, in the past, that we had, this is regarding the Fayette crossover, where there does not appear to be any indication that it is open to the public, that it's restricted to certain entities or certain people who live in communities there, and so that's what I did. That's the only thing I have to report.
Great, that was quick. Police chief.
Attached to the agenda item in your book is the September 2019 Police and Fire Activity Report, as usual. I would like to remind everybody that we are currently collecting unwrapped toys for the Guardian Ad Litem program. It's our second year. Officer Boyle has accumulated a large supply in the back. We would like to fill up a couple more trucks if we can. Please drop them off at the police department lobby. If you can't drop them off, we will be more than happy to pick them up from you. Just call us. November the 13th at Town Hall from 5 to 7, we are going to have a little dessert social. For those of you who attended the ice cream social, it is coffee with a cop on an informal basis. It's a way for everyone to come meet us and to ask your questions that you don't want to ask in public. We'll be helping folks with Civic Ready and answering questions about seasonal crime issues as we go along, such as the IRS and Social Security does not call you and ask for green dot cards. We are working in Briney. Our contract seems to be going well. There seems to be an adjustment period, as many of you have received comments from folks down there, I'm sure. We're working through those issues. They are getting used to having a police presence on more than 6 times a day, so it's working well. We're looking forward to them coming into town also. And for those of you, we will be doing some joint community outreach for Ocean Ridge Briney residents. We're inviting them here whenever we do something, and we will invite you all there whenever we do
Do
something.
they have their own toy drive?
They do
probably
not.
They don't.
To my knowledge, we have plastered Briney Breezes with our toy drive. So,
And just so you know, I have heard nothing but positive things.
Yes, same
Me
here.
too.
So
except
have
for
I.
those people who have gotten parking tickets.
Right.
So-
Yeah.
That's what they asked for.
Yeah.
Chief, the Ocean Ridge K-9, much appreciated the treats that were passed out by the dispatcher on the 31st, and the dispatchers made them themselves, I guess it was how many
Officer
treats?
Boyle has once again gone out of her way and handmade,
You're kidding.
homemade dog treats, as well as homemade desserts when we're
Can we
doing
put
this.
the recipe in the
I
next
bring you
newsletter?
prepared desserts. Officer Boyle brings you homemade. They're much better. So thank you, and thank you for
That's super.
to the town manager. I will tell you the names of the 3 officers. It was Sergeant Ermery, Officer Parkerson, and Officer Marsh that responded to the dog, and all of those officers have been recognized for that.
So does the report, that the activity summary include Briney or not include Briney?
This particular report does not, because
Okay.
it is September. In October, you will see all of Ocean Ridge Police Department reporting, which will include Briney. And in addition, we provide a separate breakdown of certain incidents to Briney so that they can see what's going on specifically in their community.
Perfect.
Yep. Okay, Wayne, building official report.
The report's in your book in front of you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. The only thing I've got is the fine assessment hearing that took place in regards to the property that Stella had mentioned earlier. That was in, that took place in September. So those are continual fines. That's about it.
Great.
Quick question, what's a stop work order?
That's placed on contractors or individuals that's, needs to cease and desist from the work that is being performed. The proper permitting process or something to that effect.
That was, it's one of those rare things that actually means what it says.
Stop it.
Right now.
Right.
And the great news is the permit application is down to 43 from what, 86,
Yeah, it was a
87?
bit of a breather, yeah.
So
we
that
caught it.
moratorium that delayed and everyone rushed to build their homes, hopefully we'll get back to a less constructed town.
Inspections are up.
I have one comment under commissioner comments. So if you want to go to that.
Yeah, Commissioner Conley?
Commissioner comment, just a real quick update. I wanted to let everybody know, as your representative for Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council and other legislative things, I attended a workshop on the 25th with our council and the council for Miami-Dade and Monroe, which was very interesting. There is a House Bill 153 that is getting ready to be proposed for matching septic funding. Unfortunately, it only covers Indian River County, so I have a feeling it's probably going to die on the floor on the first day because it's very myopic. But just to let you know, legislation is starting to understand that appropriations are probably necessary, especially for smaller towns like ours. And then on the 31st, I attended a commission and legislative priority discussion. They talked a lot about water, nothing about septic, although they did mention that they didn't like people on septic. They didn't tell us what to do or how to do it, but they just didn't like us. And the last thing I want to report is on the 3rd of December, from 9:30 to 11, there is a legislative public hearing. So all our elected officials attend these, and if you have something that you would like to see them bring forward to the legislation, that would be your opportunity to speak publicly to the entire group, but also they always make time before and afterwards to listen to individuals. So the only bad news is it's out in Loxahatchee Grove. So
Oh my God, it's
I know. So, but any questions, and anytime there's any questions about this, feel free to ask me.
I have a comment there.
Don?
I wanted to recognize Kristen again. He got up earlier and talked about the offshore drilling, and offshore, it's kind of like setting off the charges and whatnot. And I want to compliment him on staying for the whole meeting, so he also got some public service experience this evening. But you will, Tracy, did he give you the ordinances and so on and so forth? So they will be in our packages for next month. And I encourage all of you to read through them. It's very interesting. It is something that we should all be concerned about. And I guess Kristen will come back next month and sit through another town
Unless we
meeting.
bored you to death.
He didn't go to sleep either.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
I'll get it right at the Rose Friday.
Yeah. Is that where they are? You're going to be out there?